Dubbing loops offer tons and tons of options for fly tying, be it using actual dubbing, rabbit strips, marabou, or any combination of all these together. Yet some fly tyers still don't have this technique in their repertoire, and we're going to change that. Before we jump into the dubbing loop video, we're going to do the giveaway from the previous video. The random number generator picked Scott Collette. Scott, get in touch with me and I'll send you a care package. For your chance to win a care package from this video, subscribe to my channel, like the video, and comment down below and I'll send a care package to a random winner. Winner, comment. You get it. Second of all, a little bit of info. You guys killed it on the last drop. For those of you that don't know, I do a drop on Instagram of a very specific color combination of my flies that I tie, and they're only available as long as they're available. And I think the last drop lasted like 45 minutes and they were gone. So, man, thank you very much. Stay tuned on Instagram because I've got what is definitely in my top 3 color combos coming up. And it's just so good. So good. I'm a person that watches a lot of fly tying. I see a lot of fly tyers. I just like the art. But one thing I'm seeing less and less of is dubbing loops. I just really don't see that many people using a dubbing loop in a situation where they probably should. There are so many different things you can do with dubbing loops that you cannot do with any other kind of thing besides a dubbing brush, and we covered dubbing brushes in a different video. But a dubbing loop is mobile. You don't need really any more tools than what you already have. I mean, okay, you kind of need one, but we'll cover that. But it's not like a dubbing brush where you have to have this actual piece of equipment to build it. So in this video, I'm going to cover a few different ways to do a dubbing loop, some different materials that you can use in those loops, and maybe like do some mixing of some stuff. You have the ability to do that with a dubbing loop. We're gonna do it. So the first thing we're gonna talk about is tools. Some of the obvious tools you're gonna need is a bobbin, some scissors, and stuff like that. Stuff if you're watching this video, you probably already have. In my eyes, there are 2 main tools that you have to do this. I mean, you don't necessarily have to, but these are what helped me the most when I started really taking dubbing loops serious. First and foremost, the thing that helped me the most was a dubbing spinner, and not just any dubbing spinner. There's a lot of dubbing loop spinners on the market, but this spinner in particular helped me more than anything when I started doing dubbing loops. The main reason I like this spinner is not only is it, I mean, it's fast, it's gonna spin a loop really, really quickly. It's got good weight to it too. So like you can have a dubbing loop spinner that doesn't have any weight, and it's really not going to do its job the way it needs to. It's gotta have some weight to pull your loop together to make everything work. The next tool is a brush. My hands down favorite brush is a simple dog slicker brush. Like, seriously, it's a slicker brush for dogs. You guys have seen me use this, just go get one. Next is the Ergo brush from Loon. This is obviously smaller of a footprint, so you can get in there easier. So I'm thinking nymphs and stuff like that. When you're using a dubbing brush to tie nymphs and you need to get it a little bit more buggy, something like this will work, whereas this is just too much. And one tool that's kind of optional, although the more I use it, the more I just will never be without it. One of the hardest parts of building a dubbing loop is just holding the material that you want to go into the loop. And this tool does it better than any other tool that I've ever used. And I'm probably gonna get reamed for this. I'm just being honest. I love it. I use it, and you know, the real fly tires out there can give me a load of crap if they want to. But I use wax. I know. Let the hate comments roll. It's fine. But just trust me, there are times when you need wax on a dubbing loop just to hold stuff. Even just a tiny little bit of this stuff can help hold stuff so it doesn't just go everywhere when you spin it. So just trust me with this. You guys that are exceptional dubbing loop builders can laugh at me. It's fine. I get laughed at a lot. It's okay. I'll link all these tools in the description of the video. Go check them out. Just trust me. So we're gonna jump into showing you how to build a few different loops. These are kind of fun ones. One of them you may not have really used before. Others I feel like everybody really needs to learn. So yeah, and we'll also have some fun. We'll do some mixing and stuff like that. So yeah. Before we jump into that, give me just a few seconds to introduce the sponsor of this video, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for anyone who loves learning and wants to explore their creativity and learn new skills. In the last few videos, you guys have seen how I've been looking into photography and photography classes, and I've taken several photography classes on Skillshare, and they're phenomenal. But I'm just a creator. I like creating, be it flies or videos or whatever it is. And something that's been on my horizon for a long time is I've always wanted to get into leather making, like leather making. I'm an EDC junkie and I love wallets and knives and all this stuff. And I just really want to take the step and learn leather work. The first 1,000 people to use the link in my description box and my code FlyFishingTheOzarks will get a free month of Skillshare. Thanks again, Skillshare, for sponsoring this video. I appreciate it. So first we're going to start off with a little bit longer of a dubbing material. Almost everybody has used Laser Dub, but I feel like the redheaded stepchild of Laser Dub is probably Fusion Dub. This stuff. So Fusion Dub is a lot shorter fibered. It's a lot thicker of a fibered. It's not as easy to use, and it doesn't work just like Laser Dub. So I've heard a lot of people struggle with this to just use it. This stuff tied in with a dubbing loop will cure 90% of the problems that you have with it. So first, to build a dubbing loop, literally, you're gonna create a loop. Create a loop with your thread, tie it in, wrap your bobbin around it a couple times, then wrap it. Here's your dubbing loop, it's all ready to go. So I'm gonna take some Fusion Dub and put it into my dubbing loop. Something like that. Next, I'm going to insert my spinner. And as long as I have this pulled tight, the thread is together and it's holding the material. One of the main things about a dubbing loop is you want your material pretty close to the shank of your hook. If you have your material slid all the way back here, you're going to have to wrap all this thread before you even wrap any of your material onto the hook. So just trust me, get it pretty close, and you're good. One of the things I see people do too often is smashing material together. Just like really smashing it together. You're not going to get as good of a spin. You're not going to get as much use out of that little dubbing ball clump as you would if you just spread it apart a little bit. Spread it apart a little bit. So something like that, and then spin it. Now I can keep spinning this, but I need to stop right now and give it a little bit of a brush. So I'm going to take the Loon Ergo brush and brush it just a little bit. And you're going to see it pop. Just like that. Okay, I'm going to spin it just a little bit more to kind of lock everything in. Brush it out again. And now I'm ready to go. So I basically have this woolly bugger. It's exactly what it is. It's a glorified woolly bugger. But I'm gonna put a Fusion Dub head on it. So like, I want all this material to be on one side of the thread, if at all possible. And now, as we wrap this thread forward, we're gonna pull fibers back to make sure we don't trap anything underneath the previous wrap. So every wrap, we're gonna pull fibers back. And I want this like pretty tight. Okay, when you get to the eye, or wherever your stopping point is, tie it off. So most of the time, once you get a dubbing of pretty much any kind onto the hook from your dubbing loop, you're gonna wanna brush it out. So I'm gonna take the big brush and just brush all this stuff back. And you'll end up with a head like this that takes any woolly bugger to like beyond the next level. So last but definitely not least for this video, we're gonna throw some rabbit strips into a dubbing loop with some flash. So first of all, I have some Tiger Barred rabbit strips right here. These are the purple and black over white. I'm gonna take this brush and I'm gonna brush all the fibers backwards. I want it to flare and be big. So we're gonna go from this to this. So I'm gonna use my dubbing loop tweezers and get as much of the material as I can inside of it. So you can kind of manipulate this. So something about like this. I'm gonna take some of this ice dub and also get this in the tweezers too. So you end up with something like this. So now we're gonna cut this hide strip off as close as we can to the hide. Something like that. So now I'm gonna take this and just set this down because it's gonna hold my materials for me. I'm gonna create my dubbing loop. And in this instance, again, I am gonna put a little bit of wax on it. So now we're gonna insert this material into the dubbing loop. Put our spinner in there. You constantly have to have pressure on this. Constantly. Or everything will fall out. So now you can manipulate this just a little bit. And then give it a spin. Before you go too far again, you want to brush some of this out just a little bit. Give it another spin, and you're ready to wrap. So again, we want all this material to go to one side, if at all possible. So if you just preen it just a little bit to help it start off there, it'll help you in the long run. So you're constantly pulling fibers back as you make a wrap. We're gonna tie off. Strong thread pressure. pull all these materials back and wrap down right behind the eye. Strong thread pressure. I'm gonna go ahead and whip finish this right now before I cut anything off. Now brush this out. And another variation of a woolly bugger that is just super cool. It's gonna hold its profile a little better. Yeah, kind of sculpin-y, only most sculpins aren't purple and white, but you get it, you get it. So I hope this video helped demystify the dubbing loops just a little bit. Dubbing loops are not hard. Use the tools that will help you do them easier, and just go crazy, because man, you can do anything with these things.